In this video, I'm going to talk about focusing when you're doing portraits. Since I started this channel, I've been telling everyone that you're supposed to focus on the eye of your subject. And sometimes people get confused because they don't know which eye to focus on. Is it the left eye? Is it the right eye? What if there's more than one person in a group? Now you have four eyes. Where do you place that focus point so your overall picture comes out sharp? So I'm going to tell you some guidelines and some tricky situations how you should deal with it, and some exception to this rule, because there's always an exception. There's no such thing as absolute in photography. Okay, so let's start out with some really basic stuff, which is your straight head-on shot where both eyes are on the same focus plane. Now real quick guys, if you don't understand, if you have not watched my video on focusing plane, you're not gonna understand everything clearly what I'm talking about in this video. So make sure that you watch that video so you understand how focus plane works. Okay, so let's take a look at this picture. This is very simple shot. Both eyes are on the same focus plane, so it really doesn't matter if you place the focus point on this eye or the other eye. Both eyes are gonna come out sharp. Okay, so that's your basic stuff. It gets a little tricky if your subject is standing like sideways. So take a look at these two pictures. The rule is that you're supposed to focus on the closest eye to your camera. So in this case, the closest eye would be this eye to the camera because this is further away. And you can tell right away that this picture looks more appealing than this picture, because in this I focus on this eye, and the eye behind, not behind, but the other eye is basically blurry because it's on a totally different focus plane. Okay, this is very much acceptable, this softness, this blurriness, okay, because the front of your subject is very much sharp. But in this picture you'll see that it looks really weird. It's as if something is wrong with his eye, because I focused on the eye that was further away from the camera. So remember this rule: whenever you're photographing someone who's standing sideways, you gotta focus on the closest eye to the camera. Okay, again, head-on straight shot, it does not matter, both eyes will come out sharp. But if you're doing shot from side, just remember this. Okay, all right, let me close this. Okay, what happens if there are two people? Let me show you this picture. Obviously I focus on this guy here because you could tell the eyes came out really sharp. The guy behind came out a little soft, but this softness is very much acceptable. Okay, so he was behind at least, I don't know, a step or step and a half, but this is very much acceptable. How would this picture look if I focus on this guy? I took a quick shot because I knew I was going to do a tutorial on it. This looks bad because right up front, this guy here is just blurry. It just does not look right. This guy came out really sharp, but because I did not focus on the closest person in this picture, it just does not look appealing. Some people may disagree with me. Feel free to leave your comments, let me know. But I love this picture compared to this. Okay, I mean, to be honest, I really like this picture because how it's separated, two different colors, patterns, and it's literally just split in half. So whenever you're doing a shot where the other person is slightly behind the main person or the person closest to the camera, make sure that you focus on the person who is the closest to you. Okay, now are there exceptions to this rule? Yes, and we'll go over that. Same thing here. Whenever you're doing anything from the side, you want to make sure that you focus on the closest person to the camera. Otherwise, this much area in your picture is going to be blurry and it's not going to look right. Is there an exception? Yes, if you're doing an extremely close-up shot and you're using the blurriness to frame the picture like this. Oh, look at this much area right here. Almost 50% of my frame up front is blurry. And you can get away with it simply because you use this area here to frame this picture. So this looks really nice. So remember the rules, but there's always an exception. You can always break that rule, okay? So with time, obviously, you're going to learn this. All right, some very basic situation, which is, you know, not tricky to figure out where you should focus. Both my subjects are very close to each other, almost on the same focus plane. So in a situation like this, it really doesn't matter if you focus here or you focus here. Either way, you would be able to get a nice, you know, sharp picture, and both people will be in focus, okay? This is the simple stuff. Same thing here. I love this portrait of Corinne and Carlos. Hi guys, if you're watching the video. They're very close to each other, pretty much on the same focus plane, so it doesn't matter if you're placing the focus point here or here. And to be quite honest, from this much distance, there's a very good chance that your lens would focus at infinity. So it really doesn't even wouldn't matter. The focusing point will basically just determine the exposure as it's basically reading the light. Okay. Another shot right here. This is very simple, basic. Even though this person is closest to the camera, but she is my main subject, so you want to focus on your main subject instead. Okay. Okay. So the rule that I'm talking about, that should you always focus on the closest person? It depends. I break this rule every now and then, and I'll give you an example. This picture right here. The girl here is closest to me, so technically I should be focusing on her, but I didn't. I focused on this kid's eye, and the reason was because he was looking straight at me. So I wanted to make sure that he comes out sharp, because if I focus on her, this face right here, you know, staring in the lens, is gonna come out really soft, and that just would not look right. So I made the exception and focused on him, and I think it worked out pretty well. Okay. Another exception right here. They're the closest to the subject. Not the subject. They are the subject. Not actually, technically, she is the subject. They're the closest to the lens, but I focus on the girl who's giving the speech, and the only reason why I did it is because she's the one giving the speech. She should be the center of, you know, the main subject of the picture. So here I broke that rule, and it seems like it worked well. Unless you guys disagree, let me know. So these are some basic rules when you're photographing, you know, either one person, you know, two people, three people. Just know these rules, understand how focus plane works, and then soon I'm going to do a video on how the group shots work, because when you're doing group shots, you're not gonna have just one or two people. You're gonna have 4, 5, 6, 10 people, and you have to understand how depth of field works. So I'll explain all that in my video. I'll probably do a video on depth of field, so you guys are not lost when I do the group shot tutorial. And it's very simple. It's not that complicated, but this should definitely prepare you for when I do group shot tutorial. Okay. Hope all is well. If you have any questions, comments, please let me know, and I'll talk to you guys soon.